Hello and welcome to this review of my Wang 725-3488. I found 3 of these at the same time, together with 2 Wang 3771s, one of which later became Project L. So I had a handful of big Wangs that day. All of them put together I think only cost me £2 at the recycling centre as well, so it was a pretty good haul overall. I can't fully use it, unfortunately. They originally came with one of those 6P 6C jacks, but even if I use the AT connector from the 3771s, it doesn't work. The board itself is powered, and the lock light and the clicker work, but it doesn't send anything to the computer, so although it's working, it probably speaks a weird protocol or something. The layout is quite similar to that of the 3771, but it was made by a completely different company. In fact, 725s appear to have been made by 3 different OEMs. The 3775 was made by Alps Electric, it seems. There's a 7591 with Omrons that was apparently made by CoStar. And then there's this one, which was made by Key Tronic. Oh yeah, an old Key Tronic. You know what that means. Yep, it comes with Key Tronic foam and foil switches, specifically the tactile variant. There's also a linear one. I briefly showed another KT foam and foil board in the video of my BTC 5339 with foam and foil switches. Click on the link to check out that review if you haven't seen it yet. I kinda like the BTC, and over time I found it's actually possibly my most reliable board because it's never gone wrong. The key feel wasn't the greatest though, which was its only downside pretty much. These Key Tronic foam and foil boards, which, considering I've had 5 or so of these by now, I think I'm okay in saying are much, much worse than the BTC. Apart from these switches being discrete units rather than being molded into the plate like the BTCs were, there's not too much of a difference apart from the rubber sleeves. These are the sleeves. They're very big, and basically they buckle when you press a key, which is how they achieve tactility. They put the sleeve on the outside of the switch because there's not enough room on the inside to put it there. They come in 3 varieties, by the way. You got black ones for the normal switches, brown ones which are extra light, they work as stabilizers for the large keys, and light blue ones, extra stiff, which is used for the spacebar. In any case, on all KT foam and foil boards I've tried so far, they feel just awful. Very rough and scratchy and not pleasant at all. If I unplug the clicker, you can actually hear the scratching noise that they make from a distance. Here, watch this. Isn't that just absolutely horrendous? It's got a very rubber dome-like feeling to it, and it's quite tactile, but it's inconsistent because some switches are much more tactile than others. Now, as for the build, the 337 I showed earlier is a very, very sturdy board with lots of metal in it, weighing at over 1.8 kilos. This one, however, is much lighter at less than 1.4 because there's no metal in it. The switches are just mounted in the plastic top case, and beneath that is the PCB and nothing else. Really nice looking PCB, by the way, these old Key Tronics have. Silvery pads with a cool light blue backing, very tranquil. It's got the same round feet on it that you can set to 3 different positions, like this. Although they jut out, which is one of the reasons why this keyboard is so long, they're really not fragile at all. It's a very cool design, really. Behind this grill, it's got a little speaker in here to indicate key presses, but unlike the 3771, there's no volume control anywhere on the keyboard, so it's stuck at full loudness. Still works though, even though you can't use it. There are 2 connector ports, both for these 6P 6C connectors, but only this one seems to be for the keyboard. I think you're supposed to plug a mouse into this one or something. The cable itself is this long, detachable, coiled ribbon thing. Overall, the build quality is okay, but I'd say it's a little below par for something from the late 80s. One thing has to be said though, Key Tronic made some pretty cool keycaps. They're pretty thin ABS, but they use double shot lettering with a very distinctive font that you can easily recognize. The lettering, even for double shots, is beautifully sharp, and the two pieces, being the black lettering and the white surrounding, have been molded together almost seamlessly. A while ago I made some high magnification electron microscopy images of a piece of one of these Key Tronic double shot caps, and I compared it to a Dell lasered one, and the results are staggering. Here you can see the seam between the lettering and the rest of the keycap at 2000 times normal magnification. Even at its widest, the seam is only about 20 micrometers, which is thinner than an average hair. Conversely, here's what lasered lettering actually looks like, and that's at just 200 times magnification, a tenth of the previous picture. So it should be obvious that these caps, although thin, were made to extremely high standards. All in all, I'd say the quality of these Key Tronic 725s is definitely inferior to the Alps-made ones, which are built much better, have much nicer switches, and of course you can actually use them as their AT. Some people might prefer the caps on them as well, which are thick PBT die subs. This one has great caps, but the build quality is not as good, and the switches are just awful. They're consistently named as one of the worst in existence. So if you're looking for a 725, make sure you get the Alps model, as that's probably the best one. That's it for this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.